Hello, this is Gretchen Hidell live here on Facebook, on Instagram, and also, watching the pre-recorded version. Okay, now see it's going out. I don't know what's happening, why it's doing that. But we do have a busy week in astrology. So yesterday on Sunday, we had Saturn went retrograde. Then this week we have the big blood moon, full moon, lunar eclipse, super moon, flower moon, okay, everybody, all the moons, okay, on Wednesday. And then on Saturday we have Mercury going retrograde. So this is going to be a big night and a big week for all of us. So welcome if you're just joining. Like and share, like and share, like and share. Hello, Rita Virgo from Colorado. Corbin, howdy, welcome. Scorpio in Atlanta. It looks like Facebook is now working. So Almir, hello. This is the third week in a row I went on Facebook, and for some reason it wouldn't start broadcasting. It said live and then nothing. So crickets were chirping. So looks like the crickets are gone. I guess my gecko ate them. Yes, I do literally have a gecko that eats crickets. So there's that. Marianne in Aries in Vermont, welcome. Monday Night with Gretchen. Wendy said, Wendy is Aquarius in Vermont. Welcome. Iris, hello in Vermont. Welcome. Dear Brother Light, hey, welcome. So sorry, I don't know what was happening there again with our technology here, but all I will say is probably it is Mercury retrograde. Yes, Corbin said, no crickets, but cicadas where he's at. Yes, the locusts are coming. That's a big thing that's going to be happening this year. Katrina, Sagittarius in Maine. We're going to be talking about you a lot tonight, Katrina, and all the Sagittariuses that are joining live with us. This week is big week for everybody, Sagittarius and Gemini as well. And Melinda from Vermont, Capricorn, the old goat, she said, you are not old, you're the young goat, okay, Melinda, we'll just say that. The youthful goat. Okay, so we have, how's everybody feeling from this weekend? Anybody feel tired? Everybody feel, it's a little stressed out over the weekend? Anybody feeling the stuff? Because Saturn did turn retrograde. So it happened this weekend on Sunday at 5:21 a.m. Eastern time. So, but remember, Saturn's been slowing down, stopping. Okay, and then it'll start going retrograde. But even so, it's just going to be hovering at 13 degrees all the way from the end of April all the way until like mid-June. It's going to be 13 degrees Aquarius, and it just stopped, and it's just sitting there. So when we call a planet retrograde, really what we're saying, the sort of switching time where it goes retrograde or direct is called stationary retrograde or stationary direct. For keeping it brief, we tend to say retrograde or direct, but it's actually stationary. And that's why, because both these planets, Mercury and Saturn, are basically stationary right now. Okay, they're not moving very much at all. Even Saturn. So Saturn's, even Mercury, because Mercury is going to be going retrograde, soon. So that's a thing. So, Brother Light, you have an interesting story. Give me these moments. Aquarius here. Welcome to the broadcast. I love that. So if you're just joining, go ahead and comment. I love hearing everybody's experiences. But so we're feeling the slowing down, and we're coming into retrograde season. And I always feel this so usually just for a little while out of the year, there's only one little tiny bubble, okay, out of the whole year where there's like almost no planets retrograde, and we just went through it. So in the last few months, I think it was February, March, or maybe it was March and April and May, something like that, we had no planets retrograde. So if you remember in my broadcast, I kept telling you guys, go, go, go. If you're going to start something, start it now, because start before the retrograde season comes. So unfortunately, now we're in the retrograde season, and it's like, Like, we're all like kind of coming to a stop. So this is kind of what happens. And so you might feel a little run down, a little sluggish when the planets change direction. That's where it all of a sudden starts. I start getting blown up. You know, oh my God, it's like, it's so busy lately. It's crazy. People are calling me like, my life is falling apart right now. Why? And I'm like, do you watch my Monday night video? Because I've been warning everybody that this is coming. So we got a lot to go over. So anyway, I wanted to just check in and see how everybody was doing from this weekend, because the weekend was rather hard. We had Mercury square Neptune. This is last weekend on the May 22nd, 2021. And then on the 23rd, we had Saturn starting to go retrograde. So that was a thing. So it was just a lot of stuff. I mean, it was just, you know, Jane Moon Wolf said, oh, yes, you did. Taurus was too slow. He said, laugh out loud. Monica, Sunday was unusual. Sleep escaping me, but brain energy in overdrive. Yeah, I mean, it's like a kind of a crazy combination. Almir said, yay, welcome for all the karma coming back around. So Saturn is the planet of karma, you know, and so we might be seeing some karmic stuff happening, for good or for bad. I mean, I always say, we tend to think about karma like in a bad way, kind of like you'll get yours, you know, that kind of karmic thing. But actually, karma can be good too. You can put a lot of good, fun, positive things into your karmic account, and you can get a little payback from that too. Karma works not only in the negative, but also in the positive as well. So we have the planet that ruled over karma on Sunday went retrograde. So that's where we're at, and it is retrograde right now, but it hasn't even started moving into, so when it goes forward, it goes like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 degrees. So obviously when it's retrograde, it starts going 13, 12, 11, 10. So it starts going in a backwards motion. Now, do the planets really go backwards? Let's review what it means to go retrograde. So the ancients observed this very unusual sort of pattern in the sky when they had their eyes. You know, it looked almost like as if the planets were going backwards. In fact, this is an optical illusion, okay? The planets don't actually go backwards. It's an optical illusion because orbits sort of start to change and they sort of do this little thing. So it sort of starts to appear as if it's going backwards, but that's what we call retrograde. So it's an optical illusion, but in astrology, not talking about astronomy, in astrology, basically that gives the meaning that the planet is a little weaker, it's not functioning as well, or we're reviewing something from the past. So retrogrades are definitely all about going back over things. That's why in the earlier part of this year, I was telling everybody, go now, do it now, and then you'll review it anyway. Okay, you'll review it when it actually starts to come into retrograde season. So you have to go back over mistakes. So that's why everybody goes, I hate retrogrades, right? Or oh, the stupid planet's retrograde. You know, people tend to use that kind of language around it because it's a pain in the neck to have to go back over things again and re-clarify something. Like, so if it's a relationship, you might have to talk things over or some kind of thing. So that's all the stuff. So we have Mercury going retrograde this coming Sunday on May 29th, Saturday on May 29th. It's going to be 6:34 p.m. Eastern time. So what is that? 3:34 on the West Coast, okay, in the afternoon. So on Saturday, it is officially retrograde. So in this week, it might be a good time to start backing up your computer, back up your cell phone, you know, any kind of thing that you need to do kind of to prepare, okay, ahead of time. You know, get some things done that you wanted to do. If you can maybe get, you know, something fit in or, you know, some sort of thing done. You want to do it instead of waiting until next week. Now, remember, these are guidelines. These are not hard rules. I always get people that text me or call me or they say, oh, Gretchen, but I just want to do this thing or this thing or this thing. And it's like they're negotiating with me. I am not in charge of that. So, you know, I would say it's review. You have to use your best judgment, obviously. Now, if it was like an elective thing that you could wait on, yeah, you should wait. But I always tell the story about how one time I had a car that was needing some repairs, and my intuition was going crazy that there was something really seriously wrong with it. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was like I just had this feeling something was happening with the car. And I was like, I got this overwhelming feeling like I have to get it looked at now. And so I followed the feeling because I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I don't know, Mercury's retrograde. Should I get the car looked at? I'm not sure. And then I thought, if something is going to go wrong, if it will break, it's going to break really bad during Mercury retrograde. So even though it's currently Mercury retrograde, I should probably get it looked at. And here, what was happening in the car is that there was an oil leak hitting the catalytic converter. And the guy said it was this close to catching on fire. And I would have been one of those cars that you drive by and you see the flames coming out of on the side of the highway. That would have been me. Cancel clear. I'll knock on wood. Okay. And so if I hadn't have followed my intuition, and I used this as a hard guideline, okay, I thought, well, something's going to break and it'll really break during Mercury retrograde. So I better get it looked at. And I did. And luckily I was able to, the mechanic, his eyes were all wide. He's like, oh my God, there could have been a fire, and I was like, whoa, that's too much. So he repaired the repair and everything was fine with it. But I always use that as a story because with this making decisions around Mercury retrograde, because obviously, if something's going to break down or something, if like I used to also tell a story all the time of a printer. Now I did end up getting a new printer, but this printer was kind of hilarious. It like kept limping its way through the retrogrades, and it never fully broke. But what it would do is it would act really bad during the retrograde, and then it would come back to life after the retrograde was over. So I kept this printer going for forever. It was kind of crazy. It was like a really ancient printer. I think there was little hamsters in there working on the printing. But it would be the only time it would act up was the 3 weeks, 3 times a year. Now every year Mercury goes retrograde 3 weeks, 3 times a year. So for 9 weeks total, but we are in what's called the pre-retrograde shadow or phase. We call it oftentimes the shadow period, and there's a period before and after Mercury retrograde where there's a shadow phase. Now, shadow phase is where stuff kind of starts happening. You might even be feeling it this week. Saturn already went retrograde too, so you might be feeling that, but you could be feeling the Mercury retrograde. I certainly have been feeling this Mercury retrograde coming. I always feel it in the very beginning, pre-shadow, and then, I don't know, things kind of calm down. I have hardly any Virgo or any Gemini in my chart. Okay, so if you are a Virgo or you are a Gemini, remember what I always say about the planets power you up. Okay, Mercury powers up those two signs. So if you are Gemini or Virgo, you will be feeling this extra. And this particular time, if you remember what I was saying in the beginning of the year, Mercury is going retrograde in all of the air signs this year. So every year, Mercury stays within an element usually. So it's usually all the fire or all the air or all the earth or water. So this year is the air signs. So it is going to be in Gemini this time. It's in Gemini right now. What did I just say? Mercury rules Gemini, right? So, and Mercury is in Gemini. So now we have Mercury retrograde in Gemini. So that's a double super extra strong Mercury retrograde. So this particular Mercury retrograde might be the one this year that kind of kicks us in the beep, what. It's going to be quite powerful, this particular Mercury retrograde. Dear Brother Light, I had to say this because it was kind of funny. He said, I heard music from my printer. I checked it out and the printer was jamming. Ba-dum-bum. So anyway, this Mercury retrograde is going to be extra powerful. It's Gemini. It's the air sign, okay, and it's very, it's going to be all about communication for sure. Now, it depends on where Gemini is in your astrological chart in order to know how this will affect you. For sure, if you are one of the fire sign brother or sisters, okay, so if you're an Aquarius, there's a lot of Aquariuses, by the way, on tonight, looks like. I had a lot of people say, oh, I'm an Aquarius, joining in, except for Horn, SB, Leo, or Sarah, Leo from Vermont. Welcome, and we have people commenting here. Wendy Martin, I'm glad that your day went well during the retrograde. That's awesome. Gemini is in your second house. Okay, so I always talk about that. Let's talk about where in your chart Gemini is, right? So, for example, for me, excuse me, sorry, I'm Leo rising, so Gemini is actually my 11th house of friendships and groups of people. So, you know, I've already been getting contacted by a lot of people from the past. So remember the rule with Mercury retrograde. You want to do the REs. You want to review, reevaluate. You want to reorganize. You want to reconnect. You want to do all the REs. Think about REs because you're repeating, okay, different things. You're reviewing different things. You're reorganizing different things. You're reconnecting with old people from the past. So this is for sure a time when past friends come back, when past sometimes exes come back. This is the ex, okay, season. This is the time where exes come back. Now, I always get people asking me questions. Should I you know, start a new job during Mercury retrograde, or should I go on a date? I always say this: if you are single and you're dating, pause. Why don't you just pause the dating app just for until Mercury is no longer retrograde? Which, by the way, remember, it goes retrograde 3 weeks, 3 times a year. So on the 22nd, June 22nd is when it ends at 6 p.m. Okay, mark that on your calendar. Okay, and you'll be feeling this energy. Okay, until that, you know, time. So put a pause on your dating app. Okay, you don't have to date. You know, dear brother Light said exes are a no. Well, an ex is an ex for a reason, right? So I mean, actually, the one time that Mercury retrograde that how do I say this? That it's, I don't want to say it's okay, but like, you might revisit that past relationship. That's actually, if you're going to date somebody, dating an ex during Mercury retrograde is the one kind of exception, because it's somebody from the past or somebody you knew. Let's say you knew this person in high school. That would be great because it's somebody from the past. But meeting new people, let's say on a dating app or, you know, whatever, don't do that. Delay it off, you know, just kind of put the dating app on pause and just kind of, you know, whatever. But if it's revisiting something from the past, you know, well, I always say with exes, a very good thing to kind of sort of ask yourself before you get involved with an ex is what changed. You know, you want to talk with the person and say, what changed? What do I need to know? Is there something I need to know? What changed? And so that's a thing. Julia Taurus, miss seeing you. Oh, used to work at Pingala. I love that place. I will be back soon. I know that there's going to be some fun times at Pingala coming up. Kirsten, hello. Capricorn from Vermont, welcome. Jackie said Virgo in Vermont, feeling Mercury already. Yeah, so you're powered by Virgo. So does this, and here's the other thing, it doesn't have to just be your sun sign. So what if it's your moon sign? What if it's a rising sign? If it's one of the big important signs, especially if it's more of what we call the personal planets. So let's say it's your sun, moon, rising, Venus or Mars. Those are all the personal planets. If any of those are in Gemini or Virgo in your chart, that's going to be all up in your shiz dizzle. Okay, so that's something that you want to just know and be aware of. It's not something to be afraid of. These retrogrades are not something to fear. It's just that we're going to be going back over. Now, here's the cool thing. Let me give you the inside energy about how to use this to your advantage. You're going to get the inside scoop, okay? So the inside scoop is to use this if let's say you're in business for yourself. This is the perfect time to reach back out to past clients, to have old clients coming back, or, you know, let's say you're in sales, you know, and you sell cars or you sell houses or some kind of thing. This is the perfect time to reconnect with past clients. Say, hey, you know, how you liking your car, how you liking your, you know, and you want to be able to reach out to people from the past. You also want to spend this time organizing your closet, organizing your paperwork, putting things away, recycling, reusing, we're reevaluating things. So that's a perfect time to do that. So when you use these cycles, it's almost like you want to look at it almost like a salmon swimming upstream, right? Like, if you're going with the current of the energy, it's easy schmeezy. But if you're trying to fight the energy and go in the opposite way, then it's hard. So when you use these retrogrades to your advantage, you can, it's like a time where you're just kind of pulling off a little bit to the side of life. Just 9 weeks out of the year, it's not that long. And say, okay, I'm ready to reorganize this or tackle this project that I have had sitting around forever, or revisit something, okay, that you need to revisit. And this is the time to kind of clear up all those little loose ends and things that are, and when you start to use these to your advantage, then you can really, like a lot of people, I have clients that say, you know what, I can't wait for the retrograde to start because I have this big pile of stuff I have to tackle, and I knew the retrograde was coming, so I saved it for the retrograde. It's kind of like looking at it in an organizational sort of way. I think that's kind of fun. But yeah, of course, we're going to revisit all kinds of things. So I try to tell people, if you can avoid doing new things, in other words, new things that have long-reaching or far-reaching consequences during the retrograde time, that's what you want to do. But all the other stuff, the homework stuff, the behind the scenes, the chores, the putting away things, the, all that stuff, that's the perfect time to do it. It's not like you're going to be just sitting on the couch not doing anything. I have people that say, well, what the heck? I can't put my whole life on hold for 3 weeks, and it's like, no, that's not how you look at it. You look at it as a time to tie up loose ends and just not initiate any big major moves. It's kind of like a chess play. Okay. Jane Moon Wolf says, I love Mercury retrograde. It's nice. I can't see for some reason the whole, I don't know why it's not showing me the whole thing. It's nice to have an excuse to be slow. It's like when big snowstorm hits. Yes, exactly. And the speed of the world is crazy anyway. Right. It's like, that's a perfect way of looking at it, Jane Moon Wolf, like a rain day or a snow day where you're locked inside and you have to kind of do a bunch of projects. Like, that's kind of the way you want to look at that type of thing. I mean, it is a thing. So Dear Brother Light said, Cancer in the second house. I'm sorry. I was reading, they were having a conversation with each other, I think. Okay. So yeah, see, we don't want to hold negative energy toward exes, somebody said. Yeah, and that's true for sure. We want to be able to, give them, okay, good things. So basically, I can't tell what's going on Instagram. Somebody was there. I think they're talking to each other. But somebody mentioned something cool. And that is Mercury going to be in the second house of money for this person. I think it was Wendy that said that. I'm not sure. But that's a good question. So here's a fun fact. I've told this story in previous times, but I'll repeat it again because I think it's fun. 1 year, not now, but 1 year, I had Mercury went retrograde in my area of money as well. Somebody had owed me money, and it was actually quite a bit of money. And out of nowhere, I got a check in the mail. I had tried to ask this person to pay me back and do whatever. Well, they were kind of doing the whole avoiding my phone call thing, so I just let it be. I hadn't heard from them for like 2 or 3 years. It was a long time. I had given up on that. I wasn't even thinking about it. And I went Mercury retrograde in my house of money, right? I went up to the mailbox and boom, there was a check for the full amount. No note or anything. It was just this random check. And I was like, sweet. So things can come back to you. So it can be money that comes back. I had told that story in previous Mercury retrograde broadcasts, and somebody contacted me and said that they had the same thing happen after I told the story. That person also had a second house of money, Mercury retrograde, and basically they ended up getting, Wendy Martin, I'm answering your question just so that you know. Basically, they had the same thing where they got reimbursed from money that somebody had owed them when Mercury was retrograde in their area of money. So see, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's just something is coming from the past, okay? Could be a relationship, it could be an ex, it could be money, okay? It could be any kind of thing like that. I actually like it because I tend to run into people when I go shopping. at the grocery store or something that I haven't seen in forever. And I love that part of Mercury retrograde. I love the reconnection part of people coming. You know, it could be a friend that you fall out of touch with. It could be somebody you went to high school with. It could be somebody, you know, whatever. So that's basically what the deal is. Okay. And so, yeah, so it's a lot of fun. You know, Mercury retrograde can be fun. I don't want to say it's tons of fun, but it can be fun. If you're using it properly, it can be a good time. So nobody else is saying what area of their chart that Mercury is going to be in. It's going to be Gemini. So just so that you know, it's at 24 degrees Gemini when it starts. So it'll go 23, 22, 20, you know, so you want to look at 24 degrees Gemini in your chart. However, speaking of Gemini, I want to get into this big full moon eclipse. Now, here's the cool thing, I guess, sort of, out of this week. There's not many. In previous weeks, the last few weeks, it was like almost every day there was a major astrological thing. Well, it's one of those things that this week, it's not that way as much. There's not a major thing every single day. But what there is these big giant things. So it's like kind of making up for the fact that there's not something every day. So Mercury retrograde, and please, if anybody has questions about Mercury retrograde, where it is in their chart, and blah, 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 you know, it's that kind of, you know, I love to answer questions. But I want to talk about this big, okay, so it's a full moon, super moon, lunar eclipse, okay, so, and it's the flower moon. But then now people are calling it the blood moon. There's so many things about moons and eclipses that are very, sort of, you know, a lot of people are kind of talking about. I have the eclipse chart in front of me, the astrological chart, so in case anybody wants to kind of know whatever. But it is going to be 5 degrees Sagittarius. 5 degrees Sagittarius, this particular full moon, okay, lunar eclipse, and that's going to be on Wednesday. The height of it is 7:14 a.m. Eastern time. That's the height of the full moon, is the height of that, okay? And so that's going to be a big, huge deal. So Monica actually said her Mercury is in 11th house. Monica, that means that it's your group area of friendships, just like myself. Friendships are going to be a big thing. Friendships and groups of people, and kind of like your causes and your different beliefs that you have. So that's a thing. So basically this super moon, full moon is going to be taking place 7:14 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday morning, and that is May 26th. Okay, so earlier than that if you're on the West Coast, so that's going to be 4:14 a.m. on the West Coast, okay? And that's going to be the peak or the apex of that full moon. Now, it is... Now I'm going to get a little bit technical here about the astronomy just for 1 second, and then I'm going to flip back into astrology. The internet is very salacious. Okay. Wow, you can't believe everything that's on the internet. Shocking. Okay, so people are coming out saying all this like stuff of like it's the rarest of rare and the rare. Okay, well, it's actually kind of not. I'm just going to say this. It's not super rare. So basically every year since we've been born, pretty much, there's been eclipses. Okay, in fact, in astrology, we call it eclipse season, just like it's retrograde season. Now we're getting into eclipse season also, and they're coming at the same time. How much fun is that? So basically, eclipses are a big thing in astrology for sure, but they've been happening for a long time. Now, if it depends on where you read on the internet, okay, a lot of people are saying it's a total eclipse. So I'm going to get real technical here. It's actually not. It's a penumbral eclipse, and it's going to be like 90%, almost a total eclipse. Okay, so I'm getting really picky about the language here, but a lot of you're getting the inside shizzle stuff, okay, from me. I was on NASA's website, okay, looking at this stuff up. So it's not, this is not from like askme.com. Okay, this is like from a big, okay, NASA. It's NASA. I'll just say that. So basically what the deal is it's going to be an almost total eclipse, okay, and we will be able to see it from Vermont here, or on the East Coast, we will be able to see it. The height of the eclipse is actually going to be visible as long as it's not raining. It will be visible from the United States. Not all eclipses are visible from the U.S. Most of the U.S. will be able to see it. However, the eclipse is going to be viewable at 4:47 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so you're going to have to wake up real early in the morning if you want to see this thing. Okay, and it's being called a blood moon. And the reason why it's being called a blood moon is because that's the name for the kind of folklore name, I should say, for a total eclipse. However, again, it's not really a total eclipse. It's a 90% eclipse. It's going to be really, really close to being a total, but I'm being very picky and technical here. It's not technically going to be a total eclipse. Okay, but it might look like that in the sky. When you look at it, it might look like, and so we'll be able to see it. However, the thing that's unusual or special about this is it's an unusually short eclipse. So if you wake up at 5:30 in the morning and you try to see this thing, as long as it's not sunlight out, you are going to miss it, because it's only going to be duration wise 14 minutes long. It's going to be in the span of 1,000 years. It's going to be the 10th shortest eclipse in 1,000 years. That's the unusualness about it. So the duration is going to be really like a little tiny window. It's only going to be 14 minutes long. So starting at 4:47 a.m., you want to be able to catch that eclipse. That's going to be the height of it. And so you might want to even go out there a little earlier, because you blink your eye in 14 minutes and you're going to miss it. Okay, so that's the unusual part of it. Okay, so it's a super moon, and it's going to be a gigantic, huge, so we'll be able to see it really clearly, as long as, again, it's in the sky, as long as it's not rainy or cloudy or any kind of thing like that, which, when these big things happen, it's usually rainy or cloudy. Knock you on wood. Okay, so anyway, so it's going to be I'm going into the astrology now. It's 5 degrees, okay, Sagittarius, which means the sun is going to be 5 degrees Gemini. So if you are a Gemini or if you are a Sagittarius, you are going to be at ground zero of this eclipse. And again, it's good to know 5 degrees, where that is in your astrological chart, in order to know how that will affect you on a personal level. The moon is going to be 5 degrees Sagittarius, which means all the fire signs are going to feel it. Okay, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and all of the mutable signs are going to be highlighted. So of course, Sagittarius and Gemini and Virgo and Pisces are going to be really feeling this particular eclipse the most strongly, but we'll all be experiencing the eclipse. Okay, so just to give you guys an idea of what's going on right now, there's so much energy. See this zone right here? This is the area of Gemini. It's fully packed. And then this is where the moon's going to be over here in Sagittarius. So that's basically when the sun and the moon are opposite of each other, 5 degrees here, 5 degrees here, that is going to be the height of the eclipse. This is the chart of the eclipse. I pulled it up for Wednesday, May 26th, okay, at 7:14 a.m. This is the chart for New York City. So this is the chart of the eclipse. So it is going to be a big, powerful eclipse, and especially if you have any Gemini or Sag in your chart, you'll feel it. So it's a mutable eclipse. So what do we need to know about Gemini? Well, we do know, I just got done telling you in the beginning of the broadcast that Gemini's ruler, Mercury, is going to almost be totally motionless when this eclipse happens. So that's going to be really funkalicious. Okay, I'm just saying, if you're a Gemini yourself, that's going to feel funky, okay, because your ruling planet is now stopped, okay, so that's going to be a little weird. Also, this is about communication. It's all the Gemini / Mercury stuff, so it's communication, it's emailing, it's texting, it's having a conversation with a loved one. Oh my gosh, this could be miscommunications. It could be all kinds of things. But the thing about eclipses is there's always some kind of an ending and a rebooting of a computer. So you know how when you shut off your computer, like your computer's glitchy, and then you shut your computer off and you turn it back on, you're like, fingers crossed that it works better. That's what the energy of an eclipse in astrology feels like. Okay, so you got to pay attention. You can't just look at Wednesday at 7:14, okay, like that one little tiny moment. You have to look at it in a big picture. So pay attention to what's going on in your life this week, because it is actually setting us up for the next, okay, 6 months or more cycle wise in your chart. Now it's going to be, what do we need to know about this Mercury energy, this Gemini energy, and then what do you need to know about this Sagittarius energy? The interesting thing is the moon is going to be very close to the south node of the moon, which is past lives. Okay, so south node of the moon right now is around 11 degrees, and then this moon is going to be actually at 5 degrees. So that something from a past life could also bubble up during this time frame. So what's the deal with Gemini and Sagittarius? Well, they're opposites of each other. It's literally Angelina Jolie, which is Gemini, and Brad Pitt, which is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is all about travel, adventure, higher education, learning, marketing, advertising, sales, academia. Okay, just like, you know, if you're going to go back to school, this is great. Okay, any kind of thing like that. Almir said he thinks his moon is in Sagittarius. Katrina said, wow, this is a big one for me. Yep. Courtney, Sagittarius is your rising sign. Yep. So yeah, if you have any Sagittarius in your chart, but even like I said, if you're a mutable sign or if you're another fire sign, you're going to be really feeling that the strongest, but everybody has Sagittarius in their chart. See how there's areas where it's empty and then it's real busy, but then there's these empty areas? That doesn't mean you don't have anything in that department. That means that you have to look, okay, at the sign that's influencing that area. So even if there's an empty area in your chart, I'm giving you a little astrology lesson. So if you can look at your own chart, if you see an empty area, Leo, so like obviously is that the 4th house? Yeah, 4th house, right? So Leo is going to be on the 4th house. So that means you have Leo energy in your area of home and family. It doesn't mean it's empty. It just means it has a little bit less energy than, let's say, like in this area where it's like crazy jam-packed full of energy. Okay, so just to let you know, that's basically what the deal is, okay, with your astrology and everything. So you want to look and see, where are these planets in the chart? Full moons are times of endings, peak of a cycle, a completion, a wrapping up of something. It peaks, okay, it's the peak, it's the height of it. And then when you add an eclipse there, it's a peak, and then we're rebooting that computer. I'm just going to be honest, sometimes there's really hard endings. Sometimes if you think about life, right, and you go to reboot your computer, sometimes it doesn't come back on again. I mean, you try to reboot it like last ditch effort, okay, fingers crossed that it works, and sometimes it doesn't come back on. So sometimes eclipses are endings, especially since a full moon is an ending, and then you get an eclipse in there, and that's could be a super ending. So, I mean, it's just a maximum peaking out of the cycle, okay? So that's what eclipses do, is that it's like kind of like reboot. Now, on another hand, one time, I've given this example before, one time I had an eclipse happen in my area of friendships, and a friendship that I thought had ended years ago, a person came and said, you know what, I treated you really unfairly. And I apologize. Can I still want to be your friend and I miss you. Well, that was a rebooting of a friendship. And that happened on the day of an eclipse one time in my chart. And I was like, wow, like I wasn't even expecting that, but I knew something like that could have happened because it was in my area of friendship. So you need to know where Sagittarius is in your chart, or Gemini, in order to know how it will affect you on a personal level. But Sagittarius I will just say, Sagittarius shadow side can be quite opinionated, okay, and there could be a little bit of a like kind of thing. So you just want to kind of be paying attention. Pay attention during a full moon, super moon, lunar eclipse. Pay attention to what's happening this week in your chart, because if there is an ending, we just have to kind of. I'll be honest. One time I did a broadcast. This is kind of a sad story, but I did one of the Monday night broadcasts about an eclipse. I literally got up and I noticed that my dog had a growth in her mouth. Like right when I got up, and I was like, is that a bump? Like, what is that? And I looked, and my dog had oral cancer, and I didn't know. And it was like literally I just got done saying, oh, there's an ending, and then there was a lump there. So sometimes endings come. I mean, it's really tough. It's hard. But sometimes that's supposed to happen. But whatever it is, it's going to be a peaking out of a cycle. Now, people hate hearing that, and I'm sorry that that's, nobody likes to hear about endings, right? But it is a major download of energy, okay? So whatever is meant to be is here to be, and whatever is meant to leave is here to leave, okay? And so that's how we have to look at eclipses. There's a lot of folklore around eclipses. Everybody, natives and stuff used to think, well, we're all gonna, then the world is gonna end and all this kind of stuff. That doesn't happen. We've been having eclipses since, we were born. So there's always eclipses. So I like to use this time to really meditate, to really pray, to really, focus on my blessings. And also, what do you want to release? What do you want to let go? Because remember, this is a major super moon, full moon situation and an eclipse. What do you want to let go? Because any full moon, you're going to be releasing something. So it's going to be pertaining to travel, or to, the Sagittarius kind of, vibe, the mutable vibe. It could be opinionated, all that kind of stuff. Oh, that's interesting. So Katrina, who is a Sagittarius, said that her and her brother are having a reunion, and you haven't even seen him in a really long time. See, that's rebooting something. You're rebooting that relationship, and it will reboot on that day, especially since you're plugging into that directly. So you are rebooting something in your life. So it doesn't have to be. The connotation here is that, people like to hear, well, is it good or is it bad? Well, it is what it is. It just is a rebooting of something in your life. That could be a good thing, or it could be an ending, releasing sort of a thing. So it's however you kind of want to look at it. Now, that dog that I was sharing was 15 years old, and she was a German Shepherd. She was a huge dog. So it wasn't like, totally unexpected that something would happen, but that's basically the deal. So we really want to keep an eye on that. It's also called the flower moon because it is in May. That's what the full moon in May is called, is a flower moon. So I like to use that time to pray, to meditate, and you want to focus on what you want to release. So when you're manifesting, you can actually manifest the opposite way. So on the new moon, you're manifesting what you want to gain. On the full moon, you're manifesting what you want to release. So maybe it's toxic friendships or relationships. Maybe it's clutter. Maybe it's debt. Maybe it's I always say, don't give that part too much. As much, you want to give the bringing in more energy than the releasing. So you just want to be like, oh, okay, universe, take away what's not serving me and bring and replace what is going to serve me and align me with my highest and truest and best good. Okay, so that's what you want to how you want to sort of phrase it. Maybe you want to give up a bad habit, like smoking too many cigarettes, or, Devin, I think you missed that part. She said, what degree will the full moon be in? It's going to be 5 degrees Sagittarius, 5 degrees, the sun will be 5 degrees Gemini. Courtney said, how long before or after the eclipse do you feel the impact? I have been feeling it already, and I know clients have as well. I've been getting those types of calls, like that big major transitions and things are happening. That's usually, so I would say definitely you want to look at a bubble of about a week, but certainly the closer you get to that Wednesday time, the more it's like potent. That's the peak of it. But I usually feel eclipses. I start seeing eclipses activating in a client's life, for a long time, there's just certain things that happen that, one time, I think it was back when Donald Trump was running for president, the first time, not the second, or not the re-election time, the time of the first time of the election, and he had an eclipse right on his rising sign, and a lot of astrologers feel that helped him to win the election. So see, it doesn't have to be negative. It's just something is changing, and in life we all change for good or for bad. Okay, so do the number of degree indicate the level of intensity? Nope, it indicates location. Okay, it's actually time. So it's going to be 5 degrees Gemini is the sun, and then 5 degrees, okay, Sagittarius. So you can see if you were born in the very beginning of Sagittarius, okay, like the first week of Sagittarius, then you will feel that's going to be right up in your deal. Or if you were in the very first beginning of Gemini, if you were born in right in the start of Gemini, then you're going to be feeling this as well. So I hope that that helps. Devin said, it won't overly affect your Sagittarius stellium. Oh, actually, it's definitely going to be affecting your Sagittarius. You're in the ground zero of it. I don't care what degree it is. It's going to be, you're going to be in the ground zero. So if you have Sagittarius, even if it's at the end, oh yeah, you'll be feeling it. Yes, you will be feeling it. It's a lot of energy. Days with Jenny said, love is in the air. Is it for us Scorpios? So yeah, you'll be feeling, everybody feels it. Remember, you just want to look for this symbol. This is, Sagittarius is the archer. It's a mutable sign. Okay. And Sagittarius is the archer. Okay. In astrology. And so, you want to look for that in your chart and see where it's going to be, but you know, it's going to be conjunct my Jupiter. So that'll be kind of interesting. I think that'll be fun. Hopefully, maybe I'll go play a lottery ticket because Jupiter can be luck. So that'll be fun. Devin said, oh my gosh, you have a lot of Sagittarius. Sag Venus, Sag Mars, Sag Jupiter, 9th house, and then conjunct the midheaven. Yeah, you got it all. Wendy said, what does the circle with the X mean in your chart? Wendy, are you talking about this symbol right here? I don't know if you're talking about that. That's a part of fortune. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but that's a Vedic astrology symbol. Oh, I'm sorry. So Andrea said her boyfriend's childhood cat crossed over the Rainbow Bridge today. Oh, and he had his moon in Sagittarius. The kitty cat did? Oh, or your boyfriend. But yeah, see, that's the type of thing. I had a client who was going to have an appointment this week, and she called me today, and her husband unexpectedly passed away. Full moons, man, they can be, and eclipses and supermoons, they can be an exit time for sure. It usually ends up being a portal of an exchange of souls. So sometimes souls leave during that time, but also sometimes souls come in. Okay, so babies are born. In fact, people that work in natal units and stuff often talk about how full everything is. Yeah, this supermoon could be pretty powerful. I'll just say, Andrea said her boyfriend had a moon in Sagittarius. Got it. So yeah, so he's feeling the loss or the ending or the completion of a cycle, you know, and that's of his childhood cat. And I'm sorry, we'll say prayers for your kitty. Zelda said, oh, 7th house Sagittarius. So that's a marriage. That's a marriage in your marriage zones, Zelda on Instagram. Okay. And so that is definitely going to be affecting you in your personal, intimate relations. Okay. So, with a loved one, a partner, or some kind of a thing. So you'll be getting a rebooting. So remember, when the computer turns off, sometimes it turns back on and sometimes it doesn't. No, I think more often than not, it does turn back on. And then it just becomes this new thing, whatever the thing is. So it's kind of cool where sometimes, you know, eclipses are real endings. And then other times it's a rebooting. Okay, so it's an ending, but also kind of a little bit of a new way of doing something. So personally, if I were you, Zelda, if I was in a relationship at the time of the eclipse in my area of love, 5th house or 7th house is love houses, okay, in your chart, just know that I would probably stay away from the big talk, okay, because if you try to push somebody, if you try to give an ultimatum, no, you better be prepared, because that might not work out for you. So you see, sometimes the computer reboots and sometimes it doesn't. So that's what I mean by these eclipses. So Stars 10 said, can I pull a card for your husband's health? Yes. Does anybody have any questions about these eclipses? I will say please be careful of communication, especially on that day that Mercury goes retrograde, which is going to be on Saturday, because not only does Mercury turn retrograde on Saturday, but Venus forms a conjunction with with Mercury on Saturday also, and that is our love life. So man, these intimate conversations this weekend could go a little funky because it's almost like we're trying to talk and the other person's not hearing us or misunderstanding us or not listening. You know, it's just like what I did with Andrea said. She said his moon, it was in Sagittarius. I wasn't sure if she was talking about her boyfriend or the cat. And I had to clarify, to ask a question because I wasn't sure. So that's what we want to do. We want to ask questions and just kind of, you know, say, hey, you know, I'm not sure I'm understanding this correctly. Don't assume the cup is half full. Assume the person's like maybe trying to work with you, okay? Sometimes that's what gets us in trouble, is like this assumption that it's going to be bad or negative, you know? So, okay, so Zelda said, I'll keep my distance. Yeah, or just have fun, but try not to bring up any hot topics. We definitely don't want to be talking about like politics and religion and all that stuff around this time. This is not a good time to do that, especially when Sagittarius, the shadow side of Sagittarius, can be quite opinionated. A lot of Sagittarians, I'm sorry to say, when they are in their shadow side, so they're not operating at their best selves, they can be quite pompous and quite opinionated and quite, you know, my way or the highway kind of feeling. The other downside or shadow side of Sagittarius can be too much drinking, too much partying, alcoholism, overuse of substances and stuff like that. So gosh, you know, please, you know, be careful with all that. It's usually like a party hardy kind of thing, so we don't want to too over party. You know, if you're prone to that kind of stuff, be really careful around this time. Lisa said, Liza just said, sorry, I said Lisa. Liza said, I just taped a video message to go out to 8,000 clients tomorrow. I hope it's okay. Yeah, fingers crossed. So, okay. I'm sorry. I wanted to pull a card for stars 10 for her husband's health. What does she need to know? I'm just going to do a quick card, stars 10, because it's a live reading, but I just wanted to kind of dip into... I keep getting this feeling like he's got to be more proactive. Literally, the card that's coming out around this is leadership, stars 10. So I want him to be more proactive. I want him to be more... I get a feeling around my like gallbladder, my liver, some kind of a thing. And it's ironic that you're asking me this and I'm feeling this, because also, just so you guys know, Sagittarius is the liver. I just got done saying that sometimes they can be partiers and too much drinking. And so, well, if you drink too much, guess where you feel that? That's in the liver. It's liver and gallbladder, and it's also sciatic. So it can be that buttocks, that hamstring kind of area in your low, like back, upper thigh department is Sagittarius. So if you're going to be exercising or doing any kind of thing, make sure you warm up those hammies pretty well, okay? But for some reason, I don't know if you're still on stars 10, I feel like he has to take leadership, more of a proactive thing about his health. It's time for you to assume a leadership role, position, and lovingly guide others. Like, so if he needs to get a second opinion, if he needs to do whatever, but I feel like he just needs to be more proactive and take a little bit better care of himself. But I am getting something with the liver sort of department, stars 10. So I don't know if you're still on, if you heard my response, but that's basically what the deal is. So I hope that he's able to get that taken care of. But there's something going on in that upper right sort of quadrant. I'm feeling kind of in the peritoneum, like up in that liver gallbladder kind of area. She said thank you. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but he needs to be more proactive. Okay, so all right, so yes, Katrina, courage. Yes, courage to Liza. Okay. All right, so anybody else have any questions? I think what I'm going to do is just pull a card. I want to pull a card for this eclipse. What do we all need to know about this eclipse? Does anybody have any questions about the eclipse, about Mercury retrograde, about the full moon, any of the stuff? You know, I mean, these eclipse talks are pretty hardcore, I'm sorry to say, but I mean, it's kind of serious energy. And I should say this, they come in pairs. They come in pairs. So after we have a lunar eclipse during the full moon, the next new moon is going to be a solar eclipse. So that's a lot better, I'll just say, than a full. The lunar eclipse is harder because it's a full moon, and so it's a full moon on steroids. But we get a new moon on steroids as well. So it's like we have an ending, but then we have the new beginning coming. So the new beginning, just so you guys can mark your calendar, is going to be on June 10th, solar eclipse, and that is going to be in Gemini, okay? So that'll be 19 degrees Gemini. So if you have Gemini in your chart, yay, that'll be your new moon, which will be on steroids, and that'll be a good thing. And ironically, where earlier I just said that this particular eclipse is going to be one of the shortest on record, the new moon is actually going to be a longer one on record. So we'll get more time with the new moon, which is, I guess, good news. We can say that it's good news about that new moon. But first, we got to get through the ending part, which that's always a little tough. Okay, J Moonwolf, I have a dear friend who didn't want to come. The Facebook Live, she thinks she's feeling discouraged, love life. I told her, that I could pull a card. Of course I can pull a card for her. Oh no, Wendy, your mom's been having a hard time swallowing. I'm sorry. That's really rough. Sometimes the throat there kind of conks out. Stars 10. Oh, okay. She said that's what I've been telling him. Yes. I actually feel like you've been telling him this for years, but he needs to take better care of himself. But we can only lead a horse to water. We can't make them drink. You know, Stars 10, I'm sorry about that. I hope he figures this out, but he has to take leadership. That's his card. Jay Moonwolf, I'm going to pull a card for your friend who didn't want to join Facebook Live, but she needs to join the club here. We're really nice people, right? We all are good, fun friends with each other, I think. So, okay, so what does Jay Moonwolf's friend need to know in order for her highest and truest and best? What does she need to know coming up? Woo! There's a lot. Okay, so I'm chuckling. Oh my God, she is really intuitive. She's super, super intuitive. Can you please tell her that her spirit guides are like pounding? Oh my God, that's it. I'm not even pulling cards. Wait till you see these cards, Jane Moonlove. For your friend, I'm getting clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance. These are all the clairs, literally from my deck here. Clairsentience, claircognizance, and clairaudience. These are the Archangel deck, and these are the only cards I have in here of this kind. She got all three. Her spirit guides and her angels are like knocking, okay, on her forehead here to get her to listen to them. I feel like urgently, she's getting signs, messages, spirit guides, healings. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I was told, okay, let me just see. It was something about her. Yeah, I think she's discouraged in her love life. Here's the message that I was told. Actually, I was downloaded. There was a funny meme that I saw one time that said, marry a man who smears your lipstick and not your mascara. I heard that when I pulled cards for her. She needs to marry a man that smears her lipstick and not her mascara, okay? Ladies, if you're in a heterosexual or gay and lesbian relationship, you want to marry a man or woman, okay, that smears your lipstick and not your mascara. You do not want to do that. So I feel like she needs to listen, okay, to her spirit guides, her guardian. She got all of the clairs, okay, all those cards. She's very gifted, but she's not listening for herself. Healer, heal thyself, my dear. Healer, heal thyself. So you can maybe even send it to her. I'm going to send it. I'm going to download this onto YouTube. By the way, if you guys please subscribe to my YouTube channel, if you guys haven't already. But I'm going to download this and maybe you can send this message to her on YouTube. But she really needs to remember that because she's really talented. But I feel like she definitely ignores her spirit guides, and it's like almost like she can help others but not herself. It's like a Chiron thing. I feel like I want to know where her Chiron is in her chart. So so there's that. So I hope that helps everybody. Let me see. Wendy asked about her mama. I don't know if anybody else is on here on Instagram. Okay, so I'm gonna really quickly pull a card here for Wendy's mom. Wendy, good days and bad days. That's basically moon cycle. So if you think of moon cycle, it's good and then it's down, right? It's full, it's new, it's up, it's down, it's quarter, it's this way and that way. The moon never stays the same. Okay, so Wendy, when you talk about the moon is the mother, and it's almost, I feel like it's like kind of this swallowing thing for your mom feels hard to put my finger on. It's almost like I think it might just be the muscles like in her throat. It doesn't feel like it just feels like there's a muscular kind of thing. And sometimes muscles, just like anywhere in the body, okay, can give out on us and get weak over time with age. And I kind of feel, like she's got something like my, I'm sorry to make this analogy, but this is what I'm getting. That I had a pug, actually, my last pug that passed away. He had a thing with his throat and his brain, and it's just like his throat kind of closed up. So yeah, so it's one of those things. I feel like that it's similar, something similar where it's like the muscles and the structure of the throat, Wendy. So I do feel like she could kind of maybe speak with somebody about speech therapy or like a throat specialist, that maybe there's some things she could do, but I feel like it's very up and down. I hope that helps. It's very intermittent, and it's hard to put my finger on too. It's like it's a weird thing. I'll just say it's an unusual thing. It's not something that's like in my wheelhouse of, and I'm not a doctor. I'm a medical intuitive, but I'm not a doctor. I always say that. So definitely, I can just tell you what the energy feels like around it, but I don't know all the procedures. I don't know the names of all of the diagnosis. So I would just say it feels strange, and it feels like it's related to musculature. Okay. Fairly still. You have a lot of fire in your chart. 4 places of Sagittarius. Wow. Aries and Leo. Yeah. You're seeing a Leo. Yeah. And she said, I better keep my mouth closed this week. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the deal. No, there's something going on with the muscles. I feel like it's some kind of a muscular thing. It feels like to me like almost like it either closes up on her and she kind of chokes or something. I kind of feel like it closes, it clenches, and that's what was happening with my pug. Actually, I had to put him to sleep because he couldn't breathe. Like he literally, like his throat would close on him. And so Wendy, I hope that helps. I know you're saying it's mucus, but it's more than that. There's more than that going on. It feels like there's a closing. So I hope that helps. So yeah, so sometimes we can't hide out in our house and not interact with people. That's not even the message. The message is to do so carefully and mindfully. Everybody else is going to be kind of freaking out, but you guys get the inside scoop, so hard stuff is coming. So if you could be prepared, I feel like that's easier to know. And sometimes even with mindfulness, I've had this happen even myself. I am an astrologer, but I'm also a human being. Sometimes a full moon will catch me by surprise because I know it's a full moon. I know that it makes us feel crazy, and yet all of a sudden I'll get like teary, or I'll start crying on the full moon, or I'll have an emotional response, and I just know to go with it. It's okay if I have a cry. Crying never killed anybody, right? Just have a little cry and be done with it. Like, we don't have to always feel like we're losing our shit, basically, when these things are happening, that it's all good stuff that we learn. It's all learning and growing, and sometimes it does expose things. So speaking of which, let me pull the card for the week. What do we need to know about all this? Full moon, blood moon, super moon, lunar eclipse, short eclipse, but lunar eclipse, Mercury retrograde, Saturn went retrograde. Oh my goodness, all the retrogrades. So what do we need to know? Okay, in order to benefit our highest and truest best selves, what do we need to know? Our angels and spirit guides here on the earthly plane. What guidance can you give us? Oh my God, this is the most perfect. This is the most perfect card. If you guys can see this, you are safe. Archangel Michael, you are safe. Okay? He's the badass, by the way. He has the shield and a sword. You are safe, okay? I'm going to read you the message. Archangel Michael, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and your home. Okay? You are safe. So just remember, we've been living through eclipses and we've been living through retrogrades our entire life. Now we can name the cycle and say, oh, full moon. Okay, people get a little cray-cray in the full moon. People get testy. People get irritable. Bosses get annoyed with us. Things happen. We can have mindfulness and be aware, okay, that these things are happening, and we can have the mindfulness around it going into it. That's what these broadcasts are about. It's not about playing life safe necessarily. It's about having mindfulness going, okay, it's going to be a little cray-cray. I might be feeling having sleepless nights, or my boss might be irritable, or my husband or wife might be irritable, or whatever thing. Okay, even sometimes pets, they get irritable during full moons. Okay, we can have mindfulness around it, and it doesn't have to affect us, and we don't have to like blow up and have these unconscious remarks and things that happen. We can be mindful about it and say, okay, it's just the full moon. Yeah, this energies are going to be really high right now. It's all the energy is going to be up, up, up. So let's just go with the energy. Let's just go with the flow. It's a great time to pray, meditate, and also smudge or sage your house. Okay? So if you guys have any suggestions of what you would like me to talk about, or if you have any questions that you want me to read anonymously, okay, not live, but anonymously, I would answer a question. You can send me a DM, or you can text me. I won't respond, okay, to the DM or the text, but if you want me to answer the question anonymously on the live broadcast next week, let me know. If it's something you're afraid to ask live. Or if you have anything you would like me to talk about in future broadcasts, or some questions you'd like to know, go ahead and post that below too, because I love getting ideas from you guys of what you want to hear and what you'd like me to talk about. So thank you so much for joining me. Here's the thing. Next Monday night, I am not going to be live. Next Monday night, I'm taking off. Okay, it's Memorial Day, and I'm also going to take off on Labor Day, and I'm going to post a pre-recorded weekly video. You're still going to get your weekly video, but you have to go on YouTube to get the weekly video. Okay, so next week is Memorial Day, and that is basically, I am not going to be on, okay, that evening live. I'm going to do a pre-recorded, because even astrologers need a day off, and I haven't taken one since literally Christmas. So I'm open. I'm open to doing that. So thank you so much, everybody. Good night. I love you all. Mwah. Namaste. And happy, okay, lunar eclipse